Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. Yushi, today another of the Savior's words. Today it's not the spiritual message series, although I'm going to put it in the same playlist. This time Master Yohokawa has given us a lecture, not a spiritual message which we see as references of these different opinions of the spirit from the spirits in the spiritual world, but it's the actual lectures that Master Yohokawa gives. So it's the teachings of El Cantare, and it's titled Survival Methods in the Coronavirus Recession. It's 72 minutes in total, and it was recorded on April 22nd. But today I just want to give you the summary of it because we just released it in English subtitles, and I really want you to watch this. It's so vitally important for us Happy Science members and to every single people out there. If you want to survive this upcoming recession, or if you want to survive against the tides of the next age that is about to come. So there were, I would say, like 5 points that Master talked about in this lecture, as you can see here on this slide. There was an introduction, very deep, a little bit scary introduction regarding the coronavirus, COVID-19. And then he talks about 4 points. 1, an important mindset to have in these times. 2, how to think about work. Should we go back to work? If we do, how do we do it? What types of work should we do? And then point 3, how to use your time at home. So now that we're quarantined, how should we use this time efficiently? And then point 4, how to deal with the coronavirus itself. Today, I just want to talk about point 1 and point 4 really briefly. First off, the important mindset that we should have now in these times. It is to know the true meaning of death. So in the lecture, Master says, you should follow the basics of Buddhism: birth, aging, illness, and death. After a person is born, they get old, become sick, and die. No one can escape from that. I think it is better to concentrate on how you spend your remaining life that was given to you. It might be a misfortune that a lot of people die. However, if you look at it from a different angle, it is natural that people get sick and die. In this situation, instead of living with fear and self-protection, I think it is important to focus on how to live meaningfully in this limited life, wishing to realize the happiness of others. So in other terms, I summarize it like this. Instead of living in fear, live each day to the fullest, knowing you'll pass over to the next world sooner or later. So the basic teachings of Buddhism is accept the 4 pains, the 8 pains as reality. And what are the 4 pains? Birth, aging, illness, and death. Death is something that is included in the reality of our sufferings in life. However, what Shakyamuni Buddha is saying is that once you know, first you have to accept that it's a pain that you won't be able to escape. But once you accept that as a reality, then you start seeking why that turned into your pain. Why is that an emotional pain? You find out, if you look at the cause and effect, you feel it as a pain because you only have a materialistic perspective. If you have a materialistic perspective, the most important thing in your life is probably your life. However, once you gain a spiritual perspective that we're only here to go through soul training, that we are going to all pass away one day, knowing all of these things will help us escape from the fear of death. And by doing so, we can actually live a really meaningful life. The reason why it becomes meaningful is because you live upon the principle of why we were born, which is for soul training. So first you look at the reality as pain. Then you find the cause of it. It's because you view things from a materialistic perspective. And then what's necessary is to emancipate from that suffering. Once you know the cause, you have to overcome that, and you really need to start living with a spiritual perspective. And then lastly, what comes is, in order to do so, you need to have the Eightfold Path. So what I just explained right now is the 4 Noble Truths. The 4 Noble Truths. It is the pain and the reason, the emancipation, and the path. Maybe I said it in different terms, but by going through this process, Buddha is saying that gain a spiritual understanding, and through the Eightfold Path, acquire it as your real perspective so that your emotions will follow that perspective and overcome that pain. So that was the first, what I thought was very, very crucial. You can't, no one can tell, you can't choose when you're gonna die. You're gonna die one day. In Japan right now, half of the people die from cancer, it's said. Many people are dying from accidents. You can die from anything. So don't fear death. If you're overly fearful or afraid of death, as you've seen in a lot of our other lectures, that's going to appear into your life, and also it can turn into an attachment towards your life. So just accept that death is waiting you. And the next mindset is to know the reality of life, the real meaning of life. Without fail, people die. I think that modern medicine, mass media opinion, and education hardly accept the world after death. However, the world after death exists 100%. It is necessary for human beings to know the limits of science and medicine and return to their true self. When people realize their limits, they will notice that this pandemic would happen naturally in this age full of people who ridicule God or Buddha so much, ignore them, and neglect them. And I think that humans can do anything. If you read happy science books, you know that these things happened many times before. Evils of the arrogant ages will not last long, so people need to be humble. So this is another very important perspective I thought Master has taught us in this lecture. You need to acquire the spiritual perspective, and you need to understand that if a lot of people living here on earth does not live with the correct mindset, there is going to be a natural effect or natural act of purification of Earth's consciousness so that the evil regime called hell in the spiritual world will not increase. I think I've explained this in my past video in the Shakyamuni Buddha spiritual message one, but Shakyamuni Buddha's spirit was saying that the domain of hell is increasing right now because the more people are born, they are contaminated in wrong views such as materialism and atheism, and they end up falling to hell. So Earth in and of itself right now is turning into a production of, it's a factory that is creating a lot of hellish souls, or souls that will end up in hell. Therefore, in order to stop that kind of a civilization, unless we're able to change the tides of the collective thoughts and the collective faith of humankind, or the collective value of humankind, unfortunately, catastrophes will continue to occur. So, what happens if you awaken spirituality? You become humble. Being humble and being grateful. These are truly important qualities that are missing in humanity, is what Master has taught us in previous lectures. And then another point that I thought was amazing from this lecture is how to deal with the coronavirus. So his answer is increase your immunity. You just have to increase your immunity. It can be increased through faith, and he talks about 4 actual mindsets in order to increase your immunity. He talks about another physical aspect to increase your immunity, and I thought this was interesting. There's a certain type of tea that helps you increase your immunity, and when Master drinks that tea, he said that he feels God's light. I would say God's light. He said light, but God's light kind of like not pouring into him, but he felt it coming into his body. So there is this magical tea. If you want to know what it is, please come and watch this lecture. Once again, we are living in very tough times right now, but that's why hope is here. Master Riho Kawa, El Cantare. The God's name is El Cantare. El Cantare is our last and greatest hope. Many people are recovering from the COVID. Many people are finding miracles through Happy Science teachings and Happy Science faith. And as a side note of this lecture, Master said that I guess in Japan, they are overreacting. People are overreacting to this COVID-19 coronavirus. He's saying just treat it as a different type of flu and influenza. That's how you should think about this virus. So in other words, what he's trying to say is it's stupid that the economy, it's in my terms, it's stupid that the economy is shut down because of this influenza, is I think what he's telling us. So please keep that in mind. It's not a strong thing. This virus is not a strong thing. Human beings are capable of overcoming these kind of viruses. Innately, we already have that in our biology. And last but not least, I think this links to increasing your immunity through faith. Right here, what I have is the 6 divine virtues of becoming a devotee. And the fourth one, once you become a devotee of a Happy Science member, you devote yourself to the 3 treasures, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. What happens is you acquire these 6 virtues. The fourth one is devotees to the 3 treasures are able to draw out Buddha's light from within. As your faith becomes your immunity, illnesses will also be cured. So once you close the deal, should I say, you seal the deal with the 3 treasures, Buddha, Master Hokawa Alcantara, Dharma, his teachings, and Sangha, Happy Science. Once you devote yourself to these 3 treasures, it's like a spiritual bond, it's a spiritual contract, that it's an everlasting contract throughout the repetitive new incarnations that you'll have in the future. But it's a contract where you sign, where you sign with him, and by doing so, you're showing that faith. So that faith materializes as an increasing of your immunity. So if you are out there, if you're not a devotee member yet, please do so. Please dive right in. I really recommend you becoming a devotee. All right, so that is my short summary of survival methods in the coronavirus recession. Again, this was not a spiritual message. It was Master Okawa's lecture. So very, very vital, very important. You can watch it at our lectures at any local temples. So please contact your local temple to come watch this full lecture. I swear to you, it's mind-blowing, and you'll feel so reassured and so thankful that we are being protected by God's divine power. Thank you very much for tuning in.